Might as well see what happens. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our latest coverage from this next mission coming up here at Vandenberg Space Force Base. Will Robinson Smith will be providing our commentary for the duration of this coverage. We're broadcasting from the Spaceflight Now News Bureau here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We're Stephen Young running the technical operations of the broadcast this morning. Our photography team, Adam Bernstein and Michael Kane, are off at this point in the night, as this is a California-based mission. We're currently T-minus 28 minutes, 32 seconds away from the launch of the Starlink 7-10 mission. Falcon 9 slated to lift off from Space Launch Complex 4 East, or Slick 4E, at Vandenberg Space Force Base. Teaser liftoff time of 12:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 3:59 a.m. Eastern, 08:59 UTC, as you see here on our title slide. SpaceX has struggled mightily with weather for this launch. It is a bit foggy there in Vandenberg, which is not a terribly big surprise for those who have been around for other Vandenberg-based launches. It is fairly par for the course that they're usually socked in with a bit of fog. At the T-minus 27 minute, 18-second mark, SpaceX should be well into the fueling process on the Falcon 9 rocket. We'll go ahead and step through the launch countdown in just a moment, but first off, just want to thank all of you who are either staying up or waking up with us. So for the nearly 500 folks that are joining us live, really appreciate you being with us wherever you are around the world. If you haven't already, a great way to help support what we do here at Spaceflight Now. It's quick, easy, and free. You just hit the like button and share the stream. Let folks know that we are, in fact, live with this dedicated stream this morning. And to all of our wonderful channel members who are, again, either up late or up early with us. I know we've got some Floridians on deck with us, Mark Gatto, and I think I saw Callistia Lee that have popped in the live chat already. Thanks for hitting your alarms, coming back with us for another launch attempt as we are coming back on the heels of a scrub from the Starlink 6-37 mission here in Florida. SpaceX's next available opportunity to launch that mission, of course, from Florida, coming up later today. The first available opportunity for that T0 liftoff for that Falcon 9 is 7:27 p.m. Eastern, 00:27 UTC. At this point in time for the Falcon 9 here in Vandenberg, though, as far as where we are with things, T-minus 25 minutes, 22 seconds and counting. About 5 minutes ago, helium was loaded into the pressure vessels on the first stage. Helium is used to pressurize the main propellant tanks during flight. And coming up in just a few seconds, we'll start loading that cryogenic helium into the storage tanks on the second stage. But the first and second stages of the Falcon 9 rocket, powered by the same propellant mix, rocket-grade kerosene as well as liquid oxygen. At the T-minus 38-minute mark is the point at which the launch director will have given their go-ahead for the start of fueling. Again, after the start of propellant load begins at the T-minus 35-minute mark with both RP1 of that rocket grade kerosene being loaded onto the first and second stages of the vehicle and LOX flowing onto the first stage. That's followed up by those helium loading markers that I mentioned. T-minus 23 minutes. The loading of the second stage kerosene should be wrapping up, followed by about T-minus 20 minutes, 50 seconds is when the strong back chill down sequence begins, where we'd normally see the so-called big vent from the strong back. Process of chilling the feed lines before LOX load on the second stage begins at T-minus 16 minutes. Stepping through the rest of the count, T-minus 7 minutes. That's when the Merlin engine chill down sequence begins. It involves flowing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing and the turbo pumps to protect them from the risk of thermal shock and damage. About 6 minutes out, first stage kerosene loading should be completed. And at T-minus 4.5 minutes, we'll see the strong back retract begin. At that point, we'll also start getting video from SpaceX so we can get a visual on the rocket. Strong back retract begins with the payload fairings underneath the Falcon 9's, or the clamp arms underneath the Falcon 9 payload fairings opening up, and a little bit different from a Cape countdown. At Vandenberg, their transporter erector reclines about 13 degrees away from the vehicle. Pulls back a little bit more at liftoff. And 2 minutes out, the second stage liquid oxygen load should be complete. At that point, the Falcon 9 is fully fueled with 1 million pounds of propellant. Then in the final 60 seconds, control of the countdown is handed over from the ground sequencer to the Falcon 9's onboard flight computers. Propellant tanks are brought up to flight pressure. 45 seconds out, the launch director will give their go for launch. The engine ignition command is issued at T-minus 3 seconds. And then if all 9 engines ignite and are healthy, the flight computer will give the command for the hold down clamps to release the Falcon 9 at that T0 time, which is currently 12:59 a.m. Pacific, 3:59 Eastern, and 08:59 UTC. We're currently at T-minus 20 minutes, 34 seconds and counting. At this point, we should be in the big vent. Currently T minus 18 minutes, 19 seconds and counting. Just a little over 2 minutes away from the start of LOX load on the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. The reason that we're not bringing you views of the rocket just yet is because SpaceX has not started its stream. That'll begin about 5 minutes prior to liftoff. So coming up at round about 12:55 a.m. Pacific, 3:55 a.m. Eastern, 0:55 UTC. Then we'll start to see some views and some pad audio from the Falcon 9 rocket. We're now T minus 15 minutes, 31 seconds and counting. Let's go ahead and talk about where this Falcon 9 is going to be flying as it leaves the pad today. SpaceX currently launches its Falcon 9 rockets from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base, or SLIC 4E, here in Southern California. Once it leaves the pad, it will fly in a southeasterly trajectory, and it will land on the drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, several minutes after it lifts off. Where SpaceX has been working with just two of its drone ships recently, as one of its East Coast drone ships, just read the instructions, has been out of service since the recovery incident involving booster tail number 1058 back before the new year began. As many of you may recall, as they were bringing that booster back into Port Canaveral, or it was on its way back in, the booster tipped over and SpaceX's flight leader was lost to the fleet forever. If you're one of our channel members, you can see a full video of that booster coming back into the port. We also have a more truncated video with a little bit of commentary for everyone else. Both of those videos are up on the channel right now if you'd like to peruse them at your leisure, either muted while this broadcast is going or afterwards, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. That being said, SpaceX has been making do with a combination of fortunate circumstances that it has a number of RTLS or return to landing site missions for its Falcon fleet from the East Coast, as well as using its other drone ship, Shortfall Gravitas, which it was poised to do with the Starlink 6-37 mission set to launch previously last evening, currently targeting that T0 liftoff at 7:27 p.m. Eastern tonight, if they are ready to do so. Currently, we're T minus 12 minutes, 42 seconds and counting to the launch of this mission, Starlink 7-10, carrying 22 Starlink satellites of the V2 mini variety up to low Earth orbit, now in less than 12 and a half minutes. T minus 11 minutes, 47 seconds and counting. I want to thank the more than 1,200 of you who are either very much night owls or making yourselves rocket early birds, getting up with us for this launch attempt for the Starlink 7-10 mission. If you haven't already, really appreciate it if you can give this video a like and share the stream, help some more folks find this live coverage this morning. Some people may be getting up early for whatever reason on a Sunday morning, grabbing a cup of coffee and settling in with us to hopefully see a rocket launch coming up in just about 11 minutes. Taking a quick peek at our live chat. A couple more channel members. Liz Leninsky saying, looking forward to this moment. Night Owl, early bird. Yep. Another channel member, Jeremy Hansen, marking himself down as a night owl here. And Christine Hurt saying, we appreciate you running the stream for us and giving us all the great info. Well, we're more than happy to do so. We will sleep when rockets are not launching. Glad to be with you all this morning. Now T minus 10 minutes, 19 seconds and counting. Now T minus 8 minutes, 45 seconds and counting. As we continue to get closer to that T minus 0 planned liftoff of the Falcon 9. Let's go ahead and step through the launch count or the launch timeline. Let folks know what to expect when the rocket leaves the pad, what the timing of everything looks like here. A T0 liftoff again, targeting 12:59 a.m. Pacific, 3:59 Eastern, and 08:59 UTC for folks around the world. It'll be followed by T plus 1 minute 12 seconds, where the rocket passes through the greatest point of aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle, otherwise known as max Q. Then at T plus 2 minutes 26 seconds will be first stage main engine cutoff, where those 9 Merlin engines will cease firing, setting up stage separation at T plus 2 minutes and 29 seconds, followed shortly thereafter by SES-1, where that Merlin vacuum engine will ignite. The payload fairings will be jettisoned at T plus 3 minutes and 5 seconds. A few minutes later, T plus 6 minutes 12 seconds, the first stage entry burn will begin. That burn lasting 24 seconds. Falcon 9 first stage slamming on the brakes, getting ready to head down towards the drone ship. The landing burn begins at T plus 8 minutes and 6 seconds here. The booster should land on the drone ship at about T plus 8 minutes 28 seconds. T plus 8 minutes 39 seconds, the second stage engine cutoff, or SECO-1, occurs. The Falcon 9's upper stage will remain in a coast phase until T plus 53 minutes 33 seconds, when that Merlin vacuum engine will reignite for a second time, SES-2, for a quick 2-second burn that'll set up for Starlink deployment at T plus 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 36 seconds. After the Falcon 9 upper stage deploys the Starlink satellites, again, 22 are on board this particular flight, there will be a third burn of that upper stage engine as a deorbit burn done to help prevent any unnecessary space debris on this flight. We're now T minus 6 minutes, 7 seconds and counting. Just about a minute or so away from SpaceX piping in some video of the pad, so we should get views of the rocket shortly. And I'll say that with a slight asterisk, as mentioned before. You're hearing it's fairly foggy there in Vandenberg, so views of the rocket may be a bit of a strained expression here this morning. We'll see just how socked in this Falcon 9 actually is once we get eyes on the vehicle. Now T minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. As a marker in time, we're T minus 4 minutes, 55 seconds and counting. The engine chill down sequence has been underway. Now getting views of the Falcon 9 there. It's actually not as foggy as it certainly has been sometimes. We can actually see the vehicle, so that's good. Coming up on the strong back retract sequence now. As a bit of housekeeping, we're taking our countdown clock down now, but obviously you can see the SpaceX countdown clock just beneath there. For our viewers that are in California who actually have a hope of potentially seeing this launch, if you're close enough, just know that the real liftoff time is about 10 or 9 seconds ahead of what you see on this SpaceX feed. SpaceX feed comes in on a slight delay. You see the transporter erector starting to lean back away from the Falcon 9 now. Just heard that call out for the strong back retract sequence beginning.
Stage 1, locks load complete.
Coming up now on T minus 2 minutes, counting in real time. Again, just a few seconds behind on the SpaceX feed. Fueling is about to wrap up on the vehicle.
Stage 2, locks load complete.
And you have that call out for stage 2 LOX load complete. Falcon 9 now fueled with 1 million
Ground gas fills up.
pounds of propellant. Again, just a quick reminder for those in California who are hoping to see this with your own eyes. The real-time countdown is about 9 or 10 seconds
Falcon
ahead
9 is in startup.
of the time that you see here on SpaceX's countdown clock.
LD is go for launch.
And hear that call it. We are go for launch. Now 40 seconds out on the SpaceX timeline. Let's go ahead and listen in here.
T minus 30 seconds.
This will be SpaceX's fourth launch, fourth flight of the Falcon 9 in 2024. Let's listen in.
T minus 15 seconds. T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Falcon 9, go Starlink, go SpaceX.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Nominal MOD team burgers.
Power and telemetry nominal. Falcon 9 is supersonic. Max Q.
And back chilling in for ignition.
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
And we saw a good liftoff of the Falcon 9 vehicle. See the burn of the 9 Merlin engines as we are now a little over 2 minutes into the flight of SpaceX's fourth mission in 2024. Coming up events in the timeline, MECO is coming up in just a few seconds.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
And back ignition.
And all those good call outs in quick succession. Next event coming up will be the payload fairing deployment coming up at T plus 3 minutes and 5 seconds. You see the grid fins deploying on the first stage, those titanium winglets, helping to steer the vehicle toward the drone ship.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Now those Starlink satellites exposed to the vacuum of space for the first time on this flight. 22 Starlinks being added on this mission. Starting to see a little bit of Southern California with the lights of the West Coast coming into view as the Falcon 9 is making its way back toward the drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
Call out that things are continuing to move on nominally for this SpaceX flight. This will be the 79th landing of a booster on that drone ship. Of course, I still love you. And of course, is SpaceX's secondary mission tonight. Its primary mission is to get those Starlink satellites up to low Earth orbit. This will also be SpaceX's 263rd Falcon booster landing in total, if successful this morning. Of course, I Still Love You still holds the record for the most booster landings at this point, currently with 78. Just read the instructions. The booster that is still out of service right now is in a not too distant second, 71 landings on JRTI. Shortfall of Gravitas playing catch up with 56 current landings. And after the Starlink 6-37 mission goes, that'll be up to 57. We're now T plus 5 minutes, 38 seconds and counting. The next event coming up is the first stage entry burn. That's at T plus 6 minutes and 12 seconds. About 20 seconds away.
Stage 1 entry burn. Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
There you saw the start and the end of that entry burn. Coming up next will be the landing burn. That's at T plus 8 minutes and 6 seconds. Landing should conclude at about T plus 8 minutes and 28 seconds. Again, on the drone ship. Of course, I still
Both
love you.
vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Stage 1 FTS has safed.
So we're coming up on that landing burn in a little over 30 seconds. Do want to address a question from one of our channel members, Mystic Images Art, asking, has SpaceX figured out a way to stabilize the boosters so winds don't
Stage 1
topple them
transonic.
when they're being brought in on the drone ship? The answer to that is yes. They have introduced more stabilized landing legs that are able to counteract the wave motion and some of the impacts of the winds that were introduced on a number
Stage
of.
1 landing burn.
You see the landing burn now beginning.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
We'll go ahead and come back to this conversation in just a moment.
Stage 2 FTS has saved. Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed. And vac shutdown.
And a little bit difficult to see there, but the booster did successfully land on the drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Nominal parking orbit.
SpaceX now going into that coast phase with its Falcon 9 upper stage. Coming back to Mystic Images Art's question about stabilization, yes, all those things were introduced on some of the, or have been introduced on some of the newer SpaceX boosters. Unfortunately, because of its age, B1058, SpaceX's flight leader, had not received those upgrades and so was susceptible to, unfortunately, toppling over and not making it to its planned 20th flight. During a company talk, though, SpaceX founder Elon Musk said they're currently in the process of certifying boosters up to 40 flights. So double what they are working to achieve currently. And that will just about do it for our coverage of the Starlink 7-10 mission. Good launch, good landing. As we always do, though, we want to wrap things up with the mission stats for tonight. Let you know where things stand with the SpaceX fleet and the status of overall spaceflight. This was the 18th flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster, tail number 1061. This was SpaceX's 289th Falcon 9 flight to date. This is the fourth Falcon 9 launch of 2024, the fourth SpaceX orbital launch of 2024. This is SpaceX's 98th orbital launch within the last 365 days. The 62nd orbital launch from Slick 4E. The 130th overall orbital launch from this particular pad at Vandenberg. This was the second orbital launch from Vandy in 2024. And that will do it for our live launch coverage today or this morning or whatever time zone you happen to be in. Really appreciate you being with us wherever you are from around the world. Thanks to our wonderful channel members for giving us stuff to chat about as we step through the countdown. Thanks to Callistia Lee, one of our wonderful channel members, for a $20 super chat. Thank you, Callistia, who says, thanks for the great coverage, as always, Will, and all of Spaceflight Now. Have a great night, y'all. And yes, for those for whom it is still night, I hope you are able to cruise on back to bed, get a few more Z's before you have to fully wake up and do whatever your Sunday plans are. Again, tonight we are expecting SpaceX to try again for the launch of the Starlink 6-37 mission out at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Space Launch Complex 40. Is where that Falcon 9 will fly from when it's ready. The target T0 liftoff time is 7:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 0027 UTC for folks around the world. Of course, SpaceX also busy with other spaceflight endeavors currently. This is a live view over at Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. We're expecting later today, SpaceX will roll out its Falcon 9 rocket in anticipation of the upcoming crew mission to the International Space Station. The AX-3 private astronaut mission will see 4 European astronauts fly up to the orbiting outpost for a 14-day stay. Got about 30 experiments that they're working to do, as well as 50 outreach opportunities. Mission led by Commander and former NASA astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria. That's set to launch on Wednesday, January 17th. Before that happens, though, on Monday, there will be a couple of key events. A dry dress rehearsal where the crew will suit up and go through their launch day procedures. Following that, there will be a static fire test of the Falcon 9 rocket where it will be fueled. They will do a quick engine check on the Falcon 9's 9 Merlin engines. Make sure everything is on track for a launch. And then, of course, they will review all that data on Tuesday with the launch readiness review, where Axiom Space, SpaceX, and NASA will review all the data and make sure that they are actually ready for launch. There'll be a post-LRR press conference tentatively set for 8 p.m. Eastern, 0100 UTC. To be sure, if you're not already, to follow Spaceflight Now on X. We'll have live updates from that teleconference, let you know the pertinent information you need to know before our first crew launch of 2024 with this mission. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for tonight, or this morning, I should say, for the Starlink 7-10 mission. Want to thank all of you who have been with us this morning, everyone, for some good conversations in the live chats. Want to thank, of course, our Spaceflight Now editor, Stephen Young, for running the technical aspects of the broadcast this morning. I'm Will Robinson Smith for Spaceflight Now. We'll be back with you for our next launch coverage very soon. Until then, be good to yourself, be good to others, and we will see you next time.